name is Koko Khoza, MTMZA alumni 2019.
Hey everybody, I'm Relebogile Mabotja. I am an executive producer and all-round media girl.
And welcome to Conversations with the Mentor, everybody.
Welcome to it. So Coco, tell me a little bit about you. You're an alumni, but what have you done since?
Yo, damn. I need to grab my CV. Okay, after the alumni, obviously, literally we went into COVID, literally the year we were supposed to graduate. So that was a bit tricky. But then after level 5, when everyone could come back and travel, jumped onto this small American production that we were shooting this side in Joburg. Then went on to Legacy. From Legacy, I did the Safters. I did DSTV Awards. I worked on a short film. I did about 3 commercials. I did Kings of Joburg and Married Season 3. Unstoppable, where I content. Unstoppable Saburi. I content produced Season 2. Season 1 I production managed. Then I did a show that's airing next week. And then now I'm on Children of Blood and Bone. And I've moved to Cape Town.
That's a lot for a recent alumni. That's quite a lot. I think for the purposes of this conversation, I will stick to my behind the camera journey, which is, I started as a production assistant at Red Pepper Pictures, straight out of school, and I worked my way up. So I've worked on projects for Channel O. I've worked on projects for SABC. I produced AfroCafe for a few years, a business show for ETV. I was an executive producer for an international format called Single Wives. I was a music director for the remix and for AfroCafe as well. And fast forward to some of my recent work, producing Miss South Africa, producing The Safters, and now we just produced Showmax's very first live stream concert with Tyler.
Nice.
Yeah.
I sent you my CV after our interview.
Send your CV, ma'am. We are.
Need somebody in production. I got you.
I listen. I'm glad that you're saying that, because people that have worked with me know how much I'm all on the bandwagon for women. If you ever walk into any of my production offices, my business partner ends up being the only man in the room.
Wow.
But yes, I'm all about women of color just showing up in
yes,
spaces.
Please. Yes, please.
Right,
yes, please.
Right, definitely.
Yes,
so, Coco, who have you been looking up to in the industry? And I'm sure that's changed from the time that you were, at the MultiChoice Talent Factory to now being in the business, having worked directly with people.
Internationally, definitely Ava DuVernay. I want to be a writer, not like her. For me, I remember when I was in the academy, there was a commissioning editor at the time. Her name was Wanda. She was like, "Why are you guys writing about divorce and writing about poverty and all these things as if you've gone through it?" And she's like, "Write about your experience." I'm a huge Disney fan. I even have a tattoo of Mickey Mouse on my neck.
Wow.
So for me, everything has always been a fantasy. So I always try to write what's real, but also find the fantasy in it, or romanticize it, or some type of way. And that's what I realized about Ava DuVernay. She writes real stories. It's tough, it's hard, but the messaging is there. She's just great. She's just amazing. Then South Africa, I don't know if a lot of people know her. She was my writing lecturer, Naledi Bukhatri. She really inspires me a lot. I didn't know much about the South African industry while I was still at school. Obviously, I always just focused on Hollywood this, Hollywood that. This is what they're doing in America. This is what they're doing in London. This is what they're doing, but I never actually focused on about what we do, how we doing it. And then so she kind of opened her mind to that. Whenever we'd write essays, she'd be like, "I don't want essays on The Matrix. I want you to write an essay about a movie that is South African. Follow South African writers, follow South African directors, and then so that you see what we're trying to produce in this country." So those are my two. Yeah, I can say those are the people who 100% inspired me. 100%. Yeah. For you?
So it's a hard one because I feel like I've now ticked the box of the things who inspire me, what they are doing. I feel like I've ticked the box of doing it myself. And I kind of now...
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of have to be the person I look up to, in the sense that I used to want to be, I'd look like Edabasi Kumalo, who owns a Connect TV, who was doing top billing for years. And now that I'm coming into my own, I realize that, number one, I definitely want to venture into scripted. I definitely want to venture into film. And not to say there aren't phenomenal people that are doing that here, but when I think about building a media empire, I'm sort of looking at Shonda Rhimes.
Yes.
Oprah also has it, she has her own network. So that's also somebody I'm looking up to, who I think has figured out what the balance is, even with what she's doing with digital, even what she's doing with her YouTube channel, just with even repurposing content, revisiting stories. And that also kind of ties in with what I do as a host. I still very much look up to Oprah and how some of the decisions she's made, like what she's doing. Like, she built a whole set just to have a conversation with Kamala Harris. Like, I want to be that person where it's like, okay. Yeah. So those are some of the people I look up to, but I also am like, I need to look up to me and the 4.0 version of me.
100%. I think that's 100% definitely important. I think there definitely needs to be a more, like, I know when I started out in the industry, because my first job was when I was still in varsity, and during that time I never saw black women in HOD positions, and that was like, what, that was 2016, 2015, and that's just now, and there was no black females, but now it's happening more and more. It's happening, and it's so inspiring. So it's like, okay, it's possible, guys, we can do it. Like, let's go.
I have to ask you just about because my training, my learning happened on the job. I was a teenager starting to work in production, and they gave me a chance, all because I was sending faxes to ministers when I was a teenager to say, I need a show that shows us what people actually do in their careers. And they're like, we can't give you a show, find a production company. I opened the Yellow Pages. Yes, I'm from that era. And I searched production companies. Red Pepper Pictures was one of them. And I contacted them to say, I want a TV show that does this. The ministers don't have money for me, but they said I must contact. And they said, we can't give you a show, but we can definitely give you a job. And that's where it started for me. That was my school. But for you, just as a MultiChoice Talent Factory alumni, what do you think that whole experience did for you and gave you?
Well, MultiChoice is, I remember our very first day, there was a lady, her name was Catherine, I think it was Stewart, whose name I forgot. She worked at MultiChoice, I don't know if she's still there. She literally said, she was like, this isn't a big opportunity. You need to realize that you have your foot in the door now. And I have never we literally had our foot in the door. You literally you're in the front line to everything. You have access to, I'd never been to Silver Scatum Fierce. I came Silver Scatum Fierce. I got to work on that. I never worked on Miss SA. I was there when Zosie was crowned. I'm like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like, I got to meet Connie Ferguson. I got to meet Patu. I got to see literally everything, more specifically how channel works and what they deal with, because I didn't know like how it works on channel. I just thought people come, say here's a movie, and like I didn't know, honestly. Then I got to see how channel works, how it goes through the commissioning editors, sifting and all those things, and I was like, oh, okay, it's literally, it opened my eyes to a bigger world that I could not have learned in a classroom and that I could not have learned on sets, because there's two parts to this. There's the set parts, which we all enjoy the most, but there's also the back of it, of which now I enjoy more than the set parts, which is crazy. So for me, like, the academy literally opened up so many doors. Like, it was like, hey, you're here now, the door is open now, see what you're doing with the open door. make it work. Make sure you find yourself in the seat at that table. And I think I've done pretty well.
Look, I'm so glad you're saying that, especially for the other students that are part of the academy now. Like, I have used MultiChoice Talent Factory students on a couple of projects, and I can already tell you, the kids that go out of their way to be seen, that go out of their way to be heard, we remember them as producers. I mean, I've now hired, my own assistant is a MultiChoice Talent Factory alumni because she stood out when she was, working with us. And I go out of my way to not just create opportunities through partnerships like we do have with MultiChoice Talent Factory as a business, but we also go to look out for kids who just have matric and have nothing else going on. So I think it is also important to create opportunities for kids outside of an opportunity like the one that you had. But speaking on that, in terms of like longevity, how have you been able to still be in the game? Because we know how this industry can be. How is it that, you graduated and years later you've worked on all these projects? What is so special that you are doing, and what are you going to keep doing to keep you doing this?
I always have this thing that you're as good as your last job. And as much as like I keep saying, I'm going to send you my CV is going to have 20 million jobs or whatever, but if whatever experience I left on set and they didn't enjoy it, best believe somebody else is going to know about it. There's no way. That's the thing about working in this industry. It doesn't stay in quiet. It's like it spreads. So you're as good as your last job. Just be good to people. Work with everyone. Respect everybody. Even the person who's working at catering and the person who's doing units. Just because they're not technically part of the creative side, respect everybody. I literally got my first paying job because the catering lady noticed that I wasn't on set, and then they were struggling on set that day, and then she was like, where's the little girl who was running around? Then they were like, literally, and then they were like, Koko, can you come back? Because they were like, no, we're moving on to, because we're shooting in studio. Then they were like, no, we're going to shoot on location, the budget is not there, we can't be able to, whatever, and it's far, and transport, because at the time I wasn't getting paid. I was like, I just want to get set experience. And then literally I was there for like 3 weeks, and then we went to location. Literally 2 days after they were on location, they're like, please, can you come back? We need you. And that's because I was nice to the catering lady. I was nice to everyone. I made sure that I showed myself and I was presenting myself, and that's how I got my first paying job. They were like, no, dude, please come back. And that's how I was the third AD for the first time.
My goodness.
So you're as good as your last job.
And you never know. That's why you must never think because a person is nice to you as a producer that they're nice to everybody. So that feedback is so important. I so love you mentioning that. I'm busy thinking about longevity and just kind of not everybody can do what I'm about to say, which is to be multi-skilled. So for me, my longevity, and I'll speak just from a production perspective, not even the things I do in front of the camera or as talent. When I started out as a production assistant, as a teenager, and back then it was like we were not digital. I was recycling tapes, that we were shooting with and things like that. And I got bored. So instead of just being like, I'm bored, let me just be bored in my job, I started participating where everybody sat. So I spent a week with makeup helping to touch up guests for Crazy. I spent, a week with every single department, just being like, every second I was done with my work, I would run to go be like, okay, let me sit with the sound guy. Let me operate camera. Let me learn auto cue. And that whole experience taught me to just absolutely respect the work people are doing. But also it taught me where I was good at certain things. So when I started freelancing after I left Red Pepper, I was able to freelance as an auto cue operator. I was able to freelance as a script writer. I was able to freelance as so many things. And fast forward to now being a producer who I call myself a left and right brain producer because I'm very creative, but I also know how to do budgets and production schedules. And I would just say, you got to figure out a way to to be good at more than one thing. So
Yes.
even my, stylist girlie, I said to her, while you're there in between, go and sit in the production office, learn to do admin. And now she's got a production job because the styling thing went quiet. So I would say longevity is figure out how you can be a slasher, be slash everything, be multi-skilled. Even me as an executive producer, when sometimes people ask me, what is your job? What do you do? And I'm like, I do whatever needs to be done. That's what it is. There were days where I was on my hands and knees wiping my presenter's shoes because we were late and we needed to get moving. There's no job that is going to be beneath me. There's no job that is even above me. Even when I'm like, okay, this client wants me at this meeting, I'm going to show up, even if I'm, so I would just say diversify and show up. Like, yes, specialize, have people know you to be good at something, but have that something extra on your CV to keep you working because there aren't enough jobs to go around, hey? Yo.
I do have a question though.
Yes.
I've once received word that someone was very confused with my CV. Like, you're in art departments, then you were doing production, then you were doing ADing, then you're doing this. Then they're like, your CV is confused. What do you want to do? It makes it look like you're confused. So then sometimes I'm like, should I then take those things out when I do apply for a job or keep them? Because for me, I'm trying to show you that I can do a lot. It's not just one dimensional. So then is it then a bad thing to be, because now, like you're saying, and I believe it that way, it's a good thing to be a slasher, but then in some instances it's not a good thing because then they're like, you're confused. And I'm like, I'm not confused. Sometimes it gets dry. Then if somebody says come to an art job, I'm like, I can't do it. Let me go to an art department job. So,
yeah. So
I don't know.
I would say complex things are not always going to make sense to people who are simple. So
just that on a pillow.
And I'm saying this with all the respect in the world. Some people are advanced enough to understand that a person can be multi-skilled on that level. I've also done art before, and it was a nightmare. It made me realize I will never do it again, and I will pay people well to do it. But what I would say and what I would advise you, I have a myriad of CVs depending what it's for, because I understand that not everybody's going to get it. I have a CV that speaks to all my producer work. I have a CV that speaks to my front of camera talent and experience. And then what I do, and I think this is advice I must give to everybody, when you are applying for a specific position, tailor your CV for that position so that the people understand what experience is relevant to that position. If somebody's just saying, send me your general CV in J, send them everything so that they can know all of you. But if you're applying for a production manager position, what you could do, for example, is if you say, my art directing experience incorporated being able to do recons and. So include the skills that are relevant to the position you're applying for. But have the CV that has everything, so that when you meet people who you've never worked with before, you're like, can I send you my CV? They're able to say, I know she said she's done PM, but now I see she's also done art. There's an opening there.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's my advice for that. Okay, when we think about just kind of like the evolution of film and TV over the past decade, in relation to storytelling, would you say it is going in a way that's like super positive and innovative from what you are seeing?
100%. I just think we just don't have a big enough platform, although we should, but we don't somehow. I definitely think that story-wise, we're getting much better. We're not, like, in the beginning, it was always black people are struggling on TV, and it's like, not all black people are struggling, guys. Sometimes it's just, there's more representation as well, and like, it's becoming more, I think the one thing that they always say at Channel, at Mzansi more specifically, is that think about when you're sitting in a black household that has one TV set. You have a child who's 16, someone who's 8, your mother who's 50-something, your grandmother who's 80-something. You're all sitting in one room. you need to create something that's going to communicate for everyone who's sitting together at that time, because they don't have the pleasures of having 7 different televisions. And that has helped, because now they're watching shows where there's probably like a gay person. Then it makes it easier to have a conversation in the family to make those things away. Like mental illness thing, like mental health, like that's important. Like especially with the 2000, they're very vocal about it. And I'm envious of that, because I wish I was able to speak about my depression at home. But everyone was like, yes, we are famous, like I'm like, no, dude, other things.
But all lazy, babes. But all lazy.
Exactly. Other things are hitting me inside. Like so, but like now, like I'm so happy about storytelling. It's going in so many different directions. And also, we're a country that has 12 official languages, which means we have, I don't know how many tribes we have. We've got Zulu people, we've got Xhosas, Tswanas. We have so many. There's so much story in that I want to learn more. But when I watched Outlaws, I was like, okay, now I'm learning about the Sotho people. I'm learning a bit more. I'm understanding this happens there. I'm learning so much. I think I learned so much from Umubango when I was still growing up, and I understood about the vendor culture. I didn't know.
Yes.
I'm a kid who's growing up in KZN. I don't know about the outside world. Then I come to Joburg and I meet different people. So that's what I love about South Africa, is that we have everything. You have your like it's beautiful, and it's definitely evolving. It's changing. More Black people being more prolific. They're owning things. You're seeing Black people in powerful positions. It's not just, it's not like a simulation of white culture. It's what's actually happening. It's portraying what this country actually is now, which is great. And I think we're better than America, to be quite honest, because America just keeps recycling stuff. The Lion King 7, Lion King Live, Lion King Not Live, Lion King AI. They keep repeating the same stuff. So.
No, I hear you. And I think also what, for me, I'm loving about storytelling is how we are the generation that is redefining the concept of broken families. And what I mean by that is anything that was not a mom and a dad and a child in a household was a broken family. Now you can have a single mom with her 2 kids, and it's not a broken picture. It is, we are showing that there are different types of families that are also families. They are not broken. They are beautiful. They have showed up. Maybe the people that left those families are broken if people left. But I love how storytelling has evolved to a point where family has so many different versions of what that can look like. It is acceptable whether it's 2 dads or it's 2 moms or it's a single parent. And I am loving that we are clearly redefining and reteaching our communities what normal is and what it can look like and what it can be. It's still loving, it's still beautiful, it's still growing. Just in terms of, you touched on what the MultiChoice Talent Factory Academy was able to do for you in terms of exposing you to certain things. But I'm curious about what was a light bulb moment that happened for you during your whole experience? It could have been in class, it could have been on set. What was like a big light bulb industry moment for you?
The truth. That's weird. Wow. I literally just thought about this now. I never thought about it. But the truth, because I got the chance to write and direct. One of my content was chosen part of the academy. And while I was writing, it was very hard for me. I went through such an emotional process while writing. And at some point I wanted to, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to quit. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's rather choose the movie that was second runner up. Let's do that rather. Let's not do my movie anymore. And then when I spoke to Bobby, and then he was just like, what's wrong? And then we sat down and I just spoke the truth. And I said, I'm feeling this type of way about it. I feel like the story is going in this direction. That's not what I'm trying to communicate. And then I just wrote my truth. And then the truth, I was the happiest person afterwards. I still think my movie is great. I know there's been many years after me. I think other movies are great, but I still think mine was the best. I'm not going to lie. I really do, because I'm like, I thought about that story. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to communicate with that story. And it happened because I spoke my truth. And yeah, that was my life. I was like, I need to be honest. I need to be truthful with myself. I need to be truthful with what I'm trying to do. And it really was great. I'm proud of it. I even tattooed the movie on my wrists. It was amazing, man. It was wow. I didn't think about that. I just thought about that. Yeah.
No, I think that's beautiful, because if you can put work out that is truthful, then you have something to hold on to, irrelevant of how the work performs. So you can still be proud of something that some might not have deemed as successful. So I think truth is the best answer. But as we wrap up, what are the practical tips that you want to share? While I think of my practical tips that I want to share with everybody, but maybe let me go first with practical tips. I'll say, always be ready for a phone call, always be ready for a project, because you never know what's going to happen. And it's not even by your phone. You could just randomly be in the MultiChoice building and they need extras. You could be anywhere. So always be ready. That's my tip number one, that the things you pray for, don't just pray for, I'm praying to direct the halftime Super Bowl, and I'm like, I need to be ready for that to happen. I can't just pray. I also have to be prepared with all the characteristics I need, which is courage, assertiveness, standing up for myself, blah, 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 all of those relevant things. So always be ready. That's my tip number one. What's yours?
My first one is, don't make it about the money. Don't make it about the money. Go to a job. I've worked in a job where I'm like, this is not my rate, but I was like, the story here is gonna be great, and I was part of that. So don't make it about the money. If you're gonna go into this industry for the money, you're gonna lose. Don't make it about the money. The money is nice.
Yeah.
When it's there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, but don't make it about the money. Let it not be the driving force. Not in this industry.
So I will add then to this to say, when there is money, make sure you get paid. And particularly this message is for the women and the ladies out there, because we are terrible at asking for what we're worth. Always ask for more than you think you're worth. People will surprise you and have it in their budgets and pay you accordingly. So when you are paid, you've paid your dues and everything. And when there is money, make sure you get paid your worth. Don't feel insecure about it. Don't feel shy about it. Make sure you get paid your worth. And your last one?
My last one is practical tips. Be good to people on set. Because we're spending basically just be a good human being. We're spending majority of our time, and I know that's not like, it sounds like, why would you say that? Why isn't she telling me something about like how I can get a job? But it's like, be good to people and say we're with each other literally for half of the day. We need to be nice to each other. People are going through things at home. Our mental health is not really spoken about in our industry, and it's really important because we're working with people, we're working on emotions. For example, actors are going through things. You're living in somebody else's shoes, somebody else's story. You have to carry somebody else's story. You have to jump out of that and become yourself again. You come to work, you're a lighting guy, you're a sound guy, or you're working in the production office. Then you have to go home and be a sister, a mom, a dad, a brother, or whatever. We're going through a lot. Just be nice to each other on sets, because it'll literally make the day better. And we're all here for one goal. There's no department that's better than the other one. We all need each other, and let's go. Let's just be nice and work nicely.
I love that.
Such an easy set, such a seamless set if it's happy. It's man.
Oh my gosh, you're making me squeeze in one more. The one more I'm squeezing in. Stay up to date. That means with the content that's being produced out there. Yes. That means with the news. That means with what people are watching, what people are talking about. Stay up to date. And sometimes as creatives, we want to isolate and switch off so that we ensure our ideas are actually original. But never let that be a reason to not know what's happening around you. Art is supposed to reflect the times. Art in itself is political. That's how influential it is. So I would just wrap up by saying, stay up to date with what is. Art is the most beautiful platform that will allow us to actually change the world. So those are my final 2 cents.
Beautiful.
Those are my final 2 cents on this. Coco, I've had so much fun hanging out with you.
But
You have a life and you're very busy.
This is worth it. Thank you so much. No, it was no, but at least I did tell them that, guys, I might be a bit late. Like, so they were like, it's cool, because But thanks. This is absolutely amazing. I enjoyed this a lot.
And so did I. I think you actually just, when you said truth, that's my key takeaway from our chat is what is my truth right now, and how do I tell my truth in the work that I'm doing, especially if you're trying to like balance client deliverables and like you getting yourself out there. But also, let's just be allies, man, with one another. We're always all trying to survive. There's enough cake for everybody.
There really is, guys.
Yeah, let's support one another.
One thing I took from you is I need to remember to be fearless. There was a time I was fearless. I need to remember to be fearless again and go for it. I'm like, I want to do this. Let me go. Let me try. The worst they can say is no, really. So, thank you. I'm definitely going to get your email. Trust me.
Thank you guys also for tuning in. I hope there are many more of these conversations with a mentor. Like, subscribe. Make sure you get the latest episodes that are out. There are going to be so many other interesting people in this series, between alumni and industry individuals that are doing different things. Make sure you watch. And if you're not a part of the academy, this is particularly relevant for you, that you can just get exposed to information that you aren't getting. Even if you're just an industry person, stay in tune and just let's reignite that fire within us as an industry.
100%. Beautiful. Thank you, Relebogile. Thank you so much.
As we say, that's a wrap.
A wrap. Then there's a challenge.